Wanted to cover another story that CNN's pulling off here. FBI looks into possible White House leaks. Now let me try to explain something to a lot of people out there. The United States is not ran from the White House. It's not ran from the President. It's not ran from Congress. It's not ran from the Senate. It's not ran from the President or anyone that you can visibly see with your own eyes on TV. The White House is a puppet post for the global government. It has been since before World War I. In fact, if you know your true history and you understand who funded the United States, you'll understand that before the United States became a reality, or an illusion, I should say, the United States was owned and operated by very few corporations, very wealthy business interests back in the mid-1600s, in the medieval days, I would say. So the United States used to be called the Americas. The Americas. And it was controlled way before 1776. The royal families control the United States. We are their experiment or their investment, just like a grocery store front. And we are the sheeple on the pasture that fund their system. The only way these very powerful elites of the world can stay in power and can create much wealth and use that against us is if we allow them to. That's the only way. Throughout all of history, you've had very wealthy, powerful people. They're only powerful because you let them be powerful, because you believe that they're trying to help you. And that's the way it's been for thousands of years. The United States is operated on the theory of protection, making you safe and wanting to help you. Beyond that very thin layer of protection they want to claim that they want to help you lies a bunch of secret societies that give you enemies that you need to be in fear for, or you need to be afraid of. All through history, you've heard of stories of werewolves, aliens, mythical stories of, horror stories going back hundreds of years. Any story you can think of, horror stories. This is a satanic agenda, and it's been going on for a long time. These secret societies keep you in a daydream, and they're stories, and you may not believe them, and they're not necessarily meant to be taken seriously, but subconsciously it gives you kind of an uneasy feeling, and it gives you something to be afraid of. So later when government comes out and give you another boogeyman like Osama or any other boogeyman, you'll ask government for their protection. But the United States is not ran from the White House. And they're not ran from technically any building. They're ran from individuals, royalty, families, going back thousands of years. And until you can understand that, and what they're trying to do is they are trying to pocket and bank all of the information and wealth that they have created over the last 235 years, 236 years, so they can start over with another system, because the system was intentionally created as a fraud so they could later destroy it, so they can bring in another system. And a lot of people can see this new system coming in. A lot of them get called conspiracy theorists when they see these new systems coming in. And for some people that see more than one aspect of this system coming into effect, it could be any aspect, because the whole system has to do with every aspect of our lives. Everything that we see, everything that we do, everything that we buy. And when someone sees all of these aspects of this conspiracy, then the people that are asleep, the sheeple, will call these people all kinds of names. And then they'll claim that, well, everything must be a conspiracy then. Well, that's actually true. Everything is a conspiracy. Until these royal families, you know, are stopped, or if they're not given the power anymore to control us, then they can fail to program us on what we think and what we should believe. And their whole job is to bring down the United States from within. And most of the people in the military, they're fighting boogeymen overseas while they're destroying us at home. You know, we're being destroyed from within. But the media will spin it around claiming that it's just citizens and homegrown terrorists that's ruining America. It is not. It's the very wealthy that have ran this world for thousands of years, and they have full control of our media, our local media in our own states, the papers. They have control of schools. They have control of how we've learned over the years, what we believe to be true. And until you can wipe everything that you've learned your whole life and learn everything over again, then you're going to never leave that belief system that the government wants to protect you and help you. That's not the truth. And the White House is nothing more than a puppet post. That's all it is. And the hidden wealthy, because the very wealthy of this world will never put itself on display, ever. They don't put themselves on display. Why would they? They'll put the front families on display. The families they've picked and put in power to be on display. The real powers are hidden and have always been hidden. Throughout the last several thousand years, they've been hidden well. They don't have necessarily huge homes. They don't put themselves on display so you can see them. So just put that in perspective and remember that the whole goal of this planet is to create power for very few wealthy people on this planet that don't necessarily belong to any country directly, because they control most countries from the strings anyway, from behind the scenes. So it doesn't really matter what country they're in, or as long as they're making money and have property, you know, in different countries, it really doesn't matter to them, because they skip from country to country. They'll tear up countries, fund other countries, build up countries while they're destroying other countries, and that's what they do. So this is a lie. I mean, the White House doesn't leak, okay? It just doesn't leak. And the UN is going to try to step in, or the IMF is going to try to step in after they create all of these staged disasters to claim the United States is just incapable. I mean, they're creating this illusion that the United States is weak and we're in debt and we're now a useless nation, and that's their goal, is to destroy the United States and make it look like that. While they fund China and other countries and then pump that in the media, claiming that China's going to, you know, China's beating us and Russia's beating us with all their technology, and that's just not true. The technology has always been controlled by a very few people on this planet, and they choose what countries have what. They choose what countries they want in power, what countries they don't want in power. And they, at the very beginning of this country, in 1776, when they started colonizing America, they hired men, women, and children. They funded them to come into America, slaughter the Indians, and create outposts and start civilization in America. Who funded that? The very wealthy did. Now they're going to do to us what we did to the Indians when we came here. They're going to use maybe another country, maybe our own people. We're all fighting amongst ourselves anyway. You know, I can't really have a decent conversation with most people in the United States here because they look at me like I'm the enemy of the United States because I'm telling them the enemy is within. And then they look at me and I can't even talk to a Vietnam vet because the first words out of their mouth is, "Oh, you weren't in the military, weren't you? I protected this country." That's all they know. They claim that they've protected this country when all they know how to do is to take orders, to follow orders, and to go where they're told. And they think that they've done good. They haven't done good. Our military and militaries all around the world are controlled by a very few. And the whole goal was to create our military as a global police force so we can take over other countries, create the illusion that other countries are the enemy, and then every other government is a terrorist government killing their own people, which is a lie, so we can go in and save the day. And then they're going to crash our economy and claim that the IMF is going to step in and save the day. That's probably what they're going to do. And, you know, it's just like they're adding on to this DC stuff where they're claiming that there's leaks from the White House, and then a couple weeks ago they claimed, oh, the Secret Service were into prostitution, so they had to dismiss all the Secret Service. So now they're downgrading the White House, claiming the White House leaks. They're claiming that the Secret Service are incompetent. Don't you see the bigger picture of what's going on here? They're deliberately, the enemy is within, and they're actually demonizing our own country. They're demonizing the puppets. They're not even in power, you know? Because they want to create that illusion that the United States is incapable of controlling its own interests, when we were never in control of it in the first place. So, if you truly want to be free, you can't try to get the United States back to where it was, because it never will be. Because it was a fake system to begin with. A truly free system depends on how free you are and how independent you are. You can't have a free system and be free if the government wants to claim that they want to protect you while they enslave you. It just doesn't work like that. They can't come in and claim, oh, we got cheaper energy, you can use this stuff. Well, if a government, any government doesn't want to make its people free. No government wants to keep its people free and independent, because the government needs to have power over the people. That's how it works. And all governments are controlled by the same global government. It's been like that for a very long time. All militaries were built up at the exact same time. All technologies seem to have spread through all the other countries at the exact same time. Weapons, planes, they seem to pop up in all countries at the same time. They claim espionage. That's a lie. The elite have spread information and created, the armies of all the world have been created at the exact same time. All the militaries around the world were created at the exact same time. So we're living literally in a state of an illusion of what we think is real, so we don't know who our enemy is. And they're going to convince you over the media that there's going to be, that there's terror and confusion and all kinds of shows to make you believe that the United States is in debt and we're powerless and we owe China and all this stuff. It's just not true. It really isn't. If you really do your homework, instead of just watching CNN telling you all of these things, you'll understand what the truth is. We don't owe China. The elite have robbed this country blind. They owe everybody. You can't crash a nation, steal its wealth from all the people, and then claim another country actually that we're in debt to another country. You can't rob a nation and claim that we're in debt to another country. That's robbing us twice. You can't do that. It doesn't work that way. Our country has been stolen from. Our wealth, our jobs, everything. And that was the plan for a very long time. Well, I'm running out of time. I'll talk to you later.